Here's my Sunday at Wrestlecade review. I'm going to review both the Ladies Night Out and AML the day after shows, but starting off the day, we went to George South's church service, and that's always great every single year. I will say every year, the Ladies Night Out show just seems to be the weakest. This year, it started off really bad, like the first few matches, but then it definitely improved. Like, it ended off very good. So let's get into the first match. We had Amanda Kiss versus Emily J versus Mika Jackson versus somebody else I didn't quite catch her name. And this match just seemed to have so much botching. It seemed like nobody had any chemistry within the match. And so it was just very, very sloppy. I'm honestly going to have to give that a C-. We move on. They had what they seemed to call a gauntlet match. But to me, it was a Royal Rumble, except you don't throw them over the top rope, you eliminate them. They come out every so often, but there will be like 5 people in the ring at the same time. It's not a gauntlet match, or at least our traditional version of a gauntlet match. And it seemed like most everybody in this match, to me personally, was kind of just a spot filler. A lot of them were not very good. Some of them looked like they literally just went and found regular gym clothes to come out to the ring. They didn't even have any ring gear. But there were some good talents in there. Jasmine Hoy is probably my personal favorite out of all of them. But the winner was Clara Carter, and she is a great heel. I'll give her that. She's a great talent, but she wasn't even involved in the ring that much. She was kind of just outside of the ring and playing her heel character, which is good, but that would be nice to get some good in-ring action. Next up, they had the 3-way tag match between Jessic and Rip, and the only one of these that I knew was the Amazing Maria was one of them. I'm not sure what her name was in Ladies Night Out, but she's from OVW. They took on the team of Vanity and JC Storm, and the other team was Caitlin Marie and somebody else. I think it's like Total Thickness or something like that. But yeah, I mean, this match as well was very, very botchy. It seemed like a lot of people were just always in the wrong place, getting in each other's way, having to push each other aside and all that. They didn't have any good chemistry at all. But it was kind of a long match. I thought it was kind of too long, and I'm going to give it a C. And finally, I'm like losing hope on the show. I'm thinking, what in the world is this? It gets good, and it finishes off good. I'd personally say every match past this is fairly good. The talent in this match was amazing. You got Pretty and Powered, and we all know all 3 of them are amazing talent. You got Zoe Sky teamed up with one of my personal favorites, Jada Stone. She is so good. And there was this other girl that was on their team. I didn't quite catch her name either. But yeah, they had great chemistry. There was barely any botching in this match. They did very good. But unfortunately, at the end, it was pretty sad. Kylie Page ended up getting injured. You could check out her Twitter right now. She's going to be out for a while. But she had a good performance in the match. I hate that she got injured. But the match itself was very good. I'm going to go with a B for this one. And then what started to be Freya the Slayer versus Savannah Evans ended up turning into a 4-way match between Hollywood Haley J, Lindsay Snow, Freya the Slayer, and Savannah Evans. This was very confusing because at first the announcer says this is going to turn into a tag match, but it was just a fatal 4-way match. But this happened because Hollywood and Lindsay came out to the ring completely beating each other up. But I will give it a C+. It was pretty good. Next up, you had former WWE talent Carolina Cruz taking on what you might know her as the Bayley superfan, Izzy Moreno. And Izzy ended up pulling out the win on this, and I will say Izzy has been putting in the work. Last year, when at Ladies Night Out, she just got started, and she had a great performance in my first time seeing her live, and now seeing this, you could tell that she's been putting in work because she's gotten even better. So I believe Izzy's one of those that, since she's a known name to WWE, I think she could possibly end up getting WWE ID'd or going straight to the Performance Center for NXT. And we already know Carolina Cruz was a great talent, so they put on a pretty good match. I gave it a B. Next up, you have Vipress taking on Alicia Edwards. And Alicia is a very good heel. That's like her best thing, in my personal opinion, is how good she plays a heel. And it was just very entertaining because I also helped Vipress get over as a face, because usually when I see Vipress, she's also a heel, but it ended up working. They both played their part very well, and so I will give it a B. Then it was time for Thunder Rosa to come out, and Thunder Rosa's attire looked like she was dressing for WrestleMania. I really liked her kind of cowgirlish type attire. I did want to bring light to that. And Thunder was taking on Missa Kate, and this worked really well because Missa Kate is also a very good heel. And so overall, that match was pretty good. I gave that match a B-. And I realized that I really did just skip a match, and that's because I forgot to take a picture of it, but I did write down who was in it in the match ratings. It was Tiffany Naives and Dream Girl Ellie taking on Kelsey Reagan and Devlin Maccabee, and I didn't know the last two, but Tiffany Naives is a great heel talent. Currently, I believe she's the NWA Women's Champion. She was very good, and I've seen Dream Girl Ellie before, and she's always very good as well. So I'm going to give this one a B- as well. They did a good job. And then you got Masha Slamovich taking on La Rosa Negra. We already know Masha is so good, and I've seen La Rosa before. She's very good. She was dancing and all that, so she actually went over with the fans fairly well. I am going to give this match a B. Also, I forgot to say the special guest commentator for this match was Zaya Brookside. The next match was between Angelica Risk and Jasmine Allure. Jasmine ended up pulling out the victory, and I will give it a B-. I thought it was pretty decent. Next up, they had Xia Li taking on Layla Gray, and so both of them are very good talents, and I thought Xia Li had a very good performance in this match. Xia's entrance was so cool and all that. She had her whole entire gear and all that she wore in WWE, so it just looked very cool. So I'm going to give this match a B. And they finished off strong. The main event of the Ladies Night Out show was Jordynne Grace taking on Vix Crow, also known as Alicia Fox. And to see Alicia back in the ring was great. I was always a big fan of Alicia, and the crazy thing is that she can still go. She was still doing those moves that she used to do at a very high level. And so, yeah, I really just enjoyed that match. I'm going to give it a B+, and surprisingly, Vix Crow ended up pulling out the win. I figured they wouldn't let Jordynne lose that match, but both had a great performance. So overall, the Ladies Night Out show ended up having good matches, but with how it started, it was hard to redeem itself, but it was an okay show. Then it was time for AML the day after, and I personally think every single year at Wrestlecade, AML the day after is the best show of the weekend. Yeah, the name value isn't there, like you don't have all the legends and stuff, but I feel like overall with the in-ring talent and everything, this is where we're getting the best matches. So let's get into it. This was a very good show. First match on the card is arguably match of the week, and it's definitely match of the night. Speedball Mike Bailey's match from Saturday when he took on Shelton Benjamin was right on par with this one. I'd personally say his match with Shelton is better than this versus Colby Carino, but both of those matches are absolute bangers. That just goes to show you how good Speedball Mike Bailey is, that both of his matches from this weekend are better than every other match. And Colby Carino can go with the best of them. He's a great talent as well. It was a high-speed, very good match. Speedball ended up pulling out the win. I'm going to give it a solid A. Next up was definitely the weakest match on this card, which was crazy considering Axton Ray is in the match. Axton Ray is an amazing talent. He's probably one of my favorites to watch, usually at Wrestlecade weekend. But they did put him up against the Sultan, and I had never seen this guy wrestle before. I don't know who it is. I don't know who's under the mask. But whoever it is, I actually believe it's like an older man or something. I don't know. And I just say that they just look like an older man. And I hate to say it, but they were moving very slow in the ring. So it's like the match could never get fast-paced and stuff until Axton Ray was just kind of trying to run around this guy. So I will give it a C+. It had some good spots. Axton had some good moonsaults and all that kind of stuff, but it never really got good. So I got to go C+. And then you had a four-way tag match. One of the teams was Beer City Bruiser and Billy Brash. Then you had Abusive Power, JAC, and Zuka King taking on Fodder and John Schuyler. And then the last team is a father and son team with Caprice Coleman and the young Chase Coleman. I've been a Caprice fan for a long time, since when he was teaming up with Cedric Alexander many years back, of course, before Cedric made it to the WWE. But it's just great to now see his son Chase in the ring, and I thought Chase had an absolute amazing performance, just now getting started wrestling, and he was like not botching. He was doing this high-flying moves, and he just looked like it's just natural for him. It's like he made it look so easy. But yeah, every single wrestler in this ring was amazing. So I will give it a B. And then we got a banger match from Zilla Fatu and White Mike. Not only was it entertaining because of how entertaining every single White Mike match is, Zilla Fatu just had an amazing display of power. He really is amazing. After watching him live, it really makes me think this guy is WWE bound. and I think he's ready for that bigger stage. So I will give it a B. I thought it was a great match. So then after the match, White Mike grabs a mic, and he's saying that the doctors have told him that he should never step foot back in a ring. So then he kind of acts like he's going to retire or whatever. But then he says, only the fans can tell me when I'm going to retire. And he says, so you don't got to worry about me leaving. Then he says, well, my girlfriend, it is her birthday, so I'm going to call her down here. We're going to sing happy birthday. So everybody sings happy birthday to his girlfriend. And then he gets on one knee and proposes at the show, which is funny because this isn't the first time that we've seen this at AML the day after. I think maybe 2 years back it was Axton Ray who proposed to his girlfriend, which is actually the ring announcer, Haley Melton. So that was a great moment for him, of course. And then they had a memorial battle royal. It was in memorial of somebody or something. I didn't quite catch the name that they said. But I'm going to be so honest, battle royals are so hard to grade. It's like, I don't know how to grade it. So I gave it a B-. I thought it was a fun battle royal. There weren't really any surprises or anything. JAC ended up winning. And then was the tag match between Joey Janela and Top Dollar, and they were taking on Ricky Morton and George South. And this was just such a very good crowd-involving match. The crowd was yelling rock and roll, going for George South, of course, hating on Top Dollar and Joey Janela. And so it was really just very good. A lot of talent in the ring, and it just seems like everything was clicking for this match. I'm going to give it a B+. Now this next match, absolute banger for the Prestige title. Going into it, Bojack was your Prestige champion, and he was taking on one of his former partners, Diego Hill. And both of them are such amazing rising stars. They're so good, and their chemistry together was amazing. Diego Hill was doing his high-flying cruiserweight stuff, and he did it amazingly. And Bojack, he works so well with cruiserweights, and this match was just so fast-paced, so entertaining, you can't look away. I'm giving that a B+. Their chemistry was amazing. Then they had a tag match for the AML Wrestling Tag Team Champions. This was a hardcore match, and of course going into this, the champions were the Andersons, C.W. Anderson and Brock Anderson, and they were taking on the fans' favorites, the Dawson brothers, and they're a great tag team. They used to play amazing heels as well, but now they just connect with the crowd so well that, you could change them every single show and they would click. It was a very extreme match. They had doors, they had chairs, they had barbed wire, they had it all. Even Arn Anderson got in the ring, and they had to take Arn down by hitting him with these sticks. I don't even know what they were. But yeah, they started beating up Arn Anderson when he tried to get in the ring and cheat. And at the end, the Dawson brothers won. The crowd was going crazy. They've held these AML Tag Team Championships before in the past. And then after the match, Dave Dawson had this great speech talking about how thankful he is for his brother and all that they've done. And that was a great speech. So just what a great match from these guys. And nobody could have any complaints about this match. So I'm giving it a B+. Next up was the match between Brad Attitude and Gustavo. Both being great talents, they were involving the crowd in this one as well, because everybody hates Brad Attitude. He plays a great heel, and everybody loves Gustavo because he's just a very likable character. So everything was just working with this match. They had great chemistry. You had a good mix of high-flying, just your regular technical wrestling. And so, I have no complaints about this match. It was good. I'm going to give it a B. And Brad Attitude did end up retaining his belt. And so with their Acts of War Games pay-per-view coming up, of course, they got to kind of get it rolling. So at the end, Abuse of Power attacks Gustavo. So then Beer City Bruiser and Billy Brash come to save the day for Gustavo, but they are also outnumbered because John Schuyler comes out to help Brad Attitude's team. So then to finally even it all up, here comes White Mike to come help out Gustavo's team. And so they're standing there. One's out. I can't remember what team was outside of the ring. But yeah, they're sitting there talking to each other after they've already beat the crap out of each other. And Gustavo announces that these are the teams that will be participating at the Acts of War Games show. So if you're available to go to that AML Acts of War Games show, I definitely recommend it. All the AML events are always fun that I go to. You will leave happy. And yeah, I was so glad for this show. This was such a good show. There wasn't any matches that were bad, really. Even their lowest match with Axton Ray and the Grappler wasn't horrible. So yeah, I'll definitely see you guys on the next one. Y'all go check out Wrestlecade's Facebook because it's always a fun event. I've been to every single one since the second one, and I have fun every single year. It's kind of just our family tradition thing to go to Wrestlecade. That's how fun it is. So if you're available to go next year, you would definitely want to make it happen.